This lecture is all about dictionaries. Make sure you take notes on this and submit those notes as part of this week's work. The things that we're going to do in this lecture, in this lesson, by the end of it, you will be able to define and identify dictionary key and value. You will be able to create dictionaries of what are called key-value pairs, and you'll be able to access items from dictionaries. Some of these things you already know how to do. If the bell work wasn't too confusing, then you're all set. Most of what the bell work was basically being able to understand how to do this. All right? And if the bell work was confusing, then this is perfect for you. So, in general, this isn't just talking about dictionaries, but in general, in computer science and in programming, we want to be able to connect keys and values. This is a way of connecting data. Sometimes you have a key and you want the value coming out of that. So this is an example of what we're talking about, keys and values. This is kind of a silly example, but here we have some first names of some famous mathematicians and computer scientists, and then their last names are the values. So this is, again, this is used all throughout computer science, and the example from the bell work was the month and the year was the key, and then the value was the days that were weekend days. So here is on your left a dictionary. And what could we say that the keys are in this particular dictionary? What are those keys? So I want to make sure everyone is participating and engaged, that you're not distracted by something else. And that's why I ask these silly questions. But the keys here are all just objects. So I wanted to make sure you're understanding what we mean by key, okay? So cat, dog, chair, car, those are all keys. And the values are like a description or a definition. Don't get confused by the fact that this says dictionary and it seems to have definitions. You do not have to have definitions in a dictionary. A dictionary is simply linking a key to a value, just as an actual dictionary does, where you look up a word and it gives you a definition. This is just a sample of what you can do with dictionaries. So if we actually execute this code down here, the printing my dictionary and my dictionary dog and all this stuff, then we're going to see all sorts of different things happen, right? So let's actually get this into Replit. Yeah. Threw an indent in there. All right. What is print my dictionary going to do?
Print every key in there.
Okay.
Wait, what are the values then? Are the values like, for example, cat is the key, and then a domestic feline is the value?
Exactly. So let's see if it prints out all the keys. So when we print the dictionary, the entire dictionary, it prints not only the keys, but also the values associated with those keys. So you're right, Victor. In fact, it actually prints out more information. Prints out the entire dictionary.
That's what I
Notice
meant.
notice it doesn't do it in a nicely formatted way. It just prints it out like a list. So what'll happen if we do this line 8? If we print my dictionary dog, what is it going to tell us?
It's gonna say the value of dog.
And what's the value of dog?
Domestic canine.
All right, so let's take a look. Sure enough, it just prints out the value, a domestic canine. So this is how we can get a particular value out of a dictionary. And then line 9. Are there any differences between lines 8 and 9? Lines 8 and 9 will do the same exact thing. So at this point, it's a matter of personal preference as to which you would like to do. Some programmers like to use this get function on a dictionary because it makes more sense to them when they're reading it. Some programmers, especially programmers who work a lot with lists and arrays, like to use this one because it makes more sense to them. But they do the exact same thing. There's no difference. All right, what about printing cat in my dictionary? This is where it gets a little tricky. What is cat in my dictionary doing? Hope that's better. Now you would think so, because that's the definition. But remember, there's this in. There's this in keyword. And the in keyword in Python is going to trigger the right side to look for the left. So if this left item is in the right side item, then this will return true. If the left side item is not in the right side item, it will return false. Okay, so my dictionary is a list of keys and values. If cat is in my dictionary as a key, then it will return true. If cat is not in my dictionary, it will return false. So what do we expect this to return, true or false? There we go. It is in fact true. What about if we try to print monkey in my dictionary? What will that return? And there it is, it's false. So again, this in, you've seen this in for loops, you've seen this in if statements. In is a way of saying, is this value on the left in whatever is on the right? Notice that whatever's on the right could be a string, it could be a list, it could be a dictionary. There's lots of things that this thing over on the right can be. But that's what this in keyword does for us. So any questions about this code that we just went through, about how dictionaries operate on this level? All right. So we just talked about how to return a key, right, and get the value. So I mentioned that there were two ways to return a key given a value. This should say return a value given a key. And my dictionary and then square brackets dog, or my dictionary.get dog. How would you get the value for chair or car? Type that out in the chat. How would you get the value for chair or car? Either one. Excellent. Perfect. Those are the two different ways to get those values. And what happens if we run my dictionary kitten? Let's make a prediction. What will happen if we do that? My dictionary kitten. Is kitten in here in this dictionary? And there's an error because, and it gives what's called a key error. That key is not in the dictionary. Okay, what about if I try to get cat out like that? Capital C-A-T. Why is that going to be an error? Cat's right here. It absolutely needs correct capitalization. Python is not smart. Python doesn't know you're talking about a cat. Python only knows this is a capital C and it has a different ASCII code. And so that's all it's paying attention to. It's a computer. This is not at all the same thing as lowercase c. All right, so you need to make sure that when using dictionaries, you're very careful about case sensitivity, which is one reason why they used a capital K for kitten. All right. So let's try mydictionary.getKitten. Do we expect there to be a difference? But there was. What did it return? Let's make this really clear. It returned none. None is a special keyword in Python. So none isn't just like, I don't know. None is, hey, there was nothing there when I retrieved that value. Okay, so in other words, if you use get and you're not sure if that key exists, or you have a dictionary and you're not sure if that key exists, then it might be a good idea to use the get and to compare it to none. So none is recognized by Python and it's capitalized, just like true and false are capitalized. If there is no entry in my dictionary for people, then maybe I want to insert an entry in the dictionary, right? And then otherwise, I can go ahead and print my dictionary people. That will not come up with an error. Because at that point, I will know that there is in fact an entry. But if there isn't, then maybe I'll want to add it. This general construction of doing this if-else, checking to see if something is actually in a key value pair, like a dictionary, is something that programmers do a lot. Checking to see if something's there. If it's not, add it. If it is, then return the value. Before I move on, any questions about returning a key and then the difference in how this actually returns something other than an error? Okay, now I already mentioned this, but this keyword in is really, really important to understand. And I know that as you guys have been working on your projects, that's something that we've gone back and forth on, where you're going, I don't understand what this in is doing, or you're not sure how to use it. Remember, it's a, if left is inside right, it will return true. If left is not inside right, then it will return false. It can be used for if statements, for statements, dictionaries, prints, returns. It's something that really makes your life a lot easier in Python rather than having to go through every single member of a list. That is all we're going through for today. Any questions about dictionaries? Any questions about getting values in dictionaries? All right. So let's take the rest of this session and work on those projects. Remember, I want to see fruit and loops again. Those are two different projects, fruit and loops again. I would like to see those by Sunday. So if you have not finished those, open those up. Make sure you have a Replit multiplayer shared with me. If you have finished those and you're on the Internet Abbreviations project, then open that up, make a Replit for it, and share that with me.